Dr. Quentin J.
Yes, sir.
Good to have you today.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Absolutely. Other than being the husband of the infamous Dr. Anita Lee, who else would you say Dr. Quentin J. Lee is?
It's a lot of different people all in one. Growing up, all the way until college, I was known by Jerome. That was the name that everyone in my hometown of Scottsboro, Alabama called me. So most of my good friends, they call me Jerome when I go home. But in college, there was a little bit of an issue with my dialect and how I sounded. So Quentin became the name. So some people know me as Quentin, and professionally, it was Quentin. And then there was an encounter I had about 5-6 years ago where I incorporated the J. So it's Quentin J. Lee. And there's a husband, there's a father, there's a visionary, there's a creator, an educator, a worshiper. There's just all these different people that make me who I am today.
Awesome. When you look back on your childhood and growing up, how close would you say you are to where you thought you would be?
Oh, Lord, way away from it. I always dreamed that I would be an attorney. And I remember my mom,
Really?
I did. My mom had 6 boys, like all 6 of us. And I just remember she told me in my senior year, listen, I don't have any money for you to go to school. You've got to get there the best way you know how. So that I wasn't an athlete. I know I may look like an NFL player, but I'm not. I'm not an athlete. But really, music was my thing. And how I got in music was really odd. I always loved music and played saxophone, started off tenor saxophone, enjoyed it. But I told you my mom had 6 kids. So in order to play the saxophone, you have to pay for it. And unfortunately, my saxophone was repossessed and I was crushed. But my band director allowed me to play a school instrument. It was the baritone saxophone. And if you watch The Simpsons, that's the thing Lisa Simpson played. So I thought it was pretty cool. And they made this big thing about how I was being promoted. So no one knew that my instrument was repossessed. And getting ready for my 9th grade year, my assistant band director said, hey, we don't march baritone saxophones in high school. You got big lips. Maybe you should play the tuba. And I was offended at first, but then I was like, I don't want to play that. Everyone laughed about it, but I switched to tuba. And he said, if you listen to me, I can make sure you get in college. And the rest is history. I made an all-state honor band 3 years in a row, was section leader, all kind of leadership awards, district honor bands, and received a full ride scholarship to Alabama A&M University to play in the band. So losing that saxophone set me up to one of the greatest rides that I could ever imagine, and that's by playing the tuba. And I marched in Alabama A&M's Marching Maroon and White Band.
Wow, that's really cool. I've been able to see them a few times.
Oh, gosh, I miss it. I probably couldn't do any of it now, but I definitely miss it.
That is awesome. So you started out with music, and that got you, how'd you go from music into education?
Well, it's so weird. I graduated in December, and normally a lot of education jobs are not open in the middle of the year. But I was approached with opportunity, and I was praying about it because there was also another opportunity in a bigger city that I was really excited about. But every time I prayed, Talladega would show up. I could be in traffic praying, and I would see a truck, like a Coke truck or either a Lay's truck that would talk about Talladega races. And it was like Talladega Nights was coming out, like all this stuff about Talladega. So I gave it a chance, and I became the band director at Talladega County Central High School. It's now closed, but it was one of the joys of my life. I was there as band director for 6.5 years. In my capacity, I served as band director, choir director, drama teacher, computer tech. I ran a remediation for students in special education, worked on the technology team, performed all the technology requests for the district, filled in as principal, coached softball, coached baseball, was over the Black History program, and was a tech showcase sponsor. So I did everything at this little 1A school, and I loved it. And I wanted to help more than just the band students. So TC actually really opened up my eyes to what education could look like.
So your upbringing, your mom, was she into education or music at all, or was it?
So mom was a cool lady. She passed about 10 years ago, and I definitely miss her. But my mom, she was a strong woman. She raised 6 boys by herself.
I can't imagine that.
She talked about college. She instilled all of us, to be who we wanted to be. What she empowered us. She would come to our events as much as she could. But my mom was a cook, and she used to cook for people all over Scottsboro. She would make things, and we just thought everyone ate like that. We just thought everyone's mom could cook like that. It wasn't until I got to college that I realized that my mom had something special, because all of my friends wanted to come home and eat. We would host meals. I had to speak at a church one time, and my mom fed 30 of us that came down from Alabama A&M just Well, of course, to hear the message, but to have an opportunity to eat. So my mom, she was a servant. She loved people hard. She taught us what love was. And we didn't have a lot of money growing up, but we were definitely rich in love and rich in working together. And if you can imagine 6 boys, we were very competitive. And of the 6, none of us are alike, but I love all of my brothers. When we get together, it's just like we are still little boys. And my mom's name was Edna Roos, so we're still known as Edna Roos boys. And like, I don't care how old we get, we will always be Edna Roos boys.
That's awesome. Any inkling of being in education growing up, or was lawyer? You thought you?
He was a lawyer, but I did grow up without a father. And one of the first father figures I had was one of my assistant band directors. He went to church at our church. I wanted to be just like him, so I went to Alabama A&M because he went there. I played tuba because he played tuba. I was a music teacher because he was a music teacher. So the influence and mentorship is so important growing up, especially for everyone, just to have someone you can talk to and bounce ideas off of. And that's where I got the whole idea of education. And it has been a wild ride. Like, I look back now where I'm at, there's a couple of things I prayed to God about, and specifically 3 things in general that he definitely heard me on. The first was that I would receive my doctorate by the time I was 35.
Wow.
And I was so upset because I turned 35 and I didn't have it, but I had to remember you're 35 for a whole year. So I was able to complete my doctorate 7 days before I turned 36. So that was amazing. I prayed to God about being superintendent before I turned 40. And I didn't think it was going to happen because I was still a principal at 39. And then he answered that. And then one thing I prayed about was being able to find my birth father, and it's been 5 years since I found him.
Really?
Yes.
What was that like?
Still gives me chills. I still don't understand all of it, but it's a great story of redemption and of hope. All this started because of my son, who I believe definitely has a calling on his life, but he asked me one day, like, "Dad, where's your dad?" And I was embarrassed. Shame came over me about not really having a father, being told it was one person. It wasn't. He was dead. My mom since has passed on. Like, there's a lot of unanswered questions. And he just sparked something. And that week we went home for Thanksgiving to Scottsboro, and my aunt showed me a picture of my mom. And in this picture, she was being held by this guy that looked identical to me. But we didn't know who he was. And she said, "Listen, I don't know who he is, but whoever that is, I believe that may be your dad." And it started me on a journey. I found myself within the journey. It was amazing. I had to go through therapy. I advocate for therapy. Like, it's nothing wrong with having to talk to someone if you need to.
Absolutely.
But I was able to, that year, he came down with COVID during the middle of all this, and we had to miss Christmas with my children. So, like, everything.
This was recent.
This was fall of 2020.
Okay.
When all this went down, and it was just a really tough time. And for Christmas that year, my wife gave me an Ancestry DNA kit, and I took the test. And as everything would just happen, it's just kind of funny, but the day the results came back was the anniversary of my mom's death. And got the notification that I was a 99.95% match with a sister. And I was like, I don't have a sister.
That meant she had already done that test as well.
She did the test. Okay. She did the test years ago, not looking for anybody, but just trying to figure out what part of Africa she was from. Like, she just wanted to know, like, her ethnicity. Mm-hmm. And so that led to a lot of emotions, and I love my sister. Absolutely love my sister. We talked the first day for over an hour. The way that God worked it out, the day that I called her and told her that we were brother and sisters, her sister had just called her earlier and told her that she had terminal cancer. So in one day, my sister found out that she was losing a sibling and gaining a sibling. And of all the days, why would it happen that was the day that she was finding out she was losing someone and gaining someone?
Wow.
And we were able to help my sister. Like I said, I love my sister. She came to visit. She lives in Florida now. We talk, we text all the time. Absolutely love my sister. And the connecting with my father was amazing. A couple of things I've always wanted to, be able to say dad and have my own dad. And we're still building on a relationship. There's a lot of hurt that comes along with it, but we ask God to forgive us. So how can we not forgive others?
Absolutely.
And I don't know if I know my story wouldn't be the same as it is now, because even though there was a lot of hurt there, it taught me things about what I wanted to do with my own children. So I'm thankful for the lessons I learned, even through the pain. And I'm able to share that with the students that I serve, even today.
Wow, that's an amazing story.
I appreciate
One thing I like to talk about is the stepping stones that we've been through in life, where a lot of times it seems like we're not going anywhere, we're stuck, we're not where, like you said, I'm 39. I prayed for this by 40. I'm dealing with something like that as we speak. I'm 39, fixing to turn 40. I had a goal, silly goal, but I still got time. I still have till September before I turn 40. So we'll see. How did you find yourself staying positive naturally in those situations, or do you? I always pull off and go into a lot of self-pity and anger a lot of times when I don't feel like things are going the way they're supposed to be.
I dealt with imposter syndrome.
Absolutely.
I dealt with cognitive distortions, and a lot of these terms I learned from a counselor. But
can you explain what that is? Because I don't know.
So with cognitive distortions, it's when something comes up. Like, for example, if you're walking in a store and you speak to someone and they don't speak back to you, in your mind, you automatically distort why they didn't speak. So you come up with reasons, they must have said something, they must have heard something, why are they mad at me? Oh, because they're mad at me, I'm mad at them. And you distort what's going on, and it could just be they were busy and didn't see you. So I had to realize, I can't spiral out of control because of small things. Like, it is what it is. But there's been all kind of times that I have just felt like, hey, I'm stuck and dealing with same situations. But one thing I learned is if you deal with the same situation over and over and over again, that means there's a lesson you're supposed to learn. And until you learn that lesson, you're going to keep going in that same spiral. So we don't take losses. We have lessons, and we learn what we need to learn so that we can move forward.
I love that. I usually find when I'm in those situations where I feel like I'm being held back, it's usually revealed to me later that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing to progress. There was something I was supposed to be working on that I wasn't advancing in. And
even I remember when I got my administration degree, I had to apply for jobs because I was like, I've got a degree, I'm qualified, I need a job. And the superintendent that I was working under at that time, she talked to me. She said, listen, you have fantastic interviews, but I want to make sure that you have a good fit. It needs to be a great fit. And I didn't understand it then. I just thought because I have this, I should get it. I wouldn't have been ready for it. Yeah. And so when I did finally get an assistant principal position, it was the perfect fit, and I learned so much, and it would not have worked any other way. And I think I learned so much that I was only an assistant principal for 2 years and then moved to principal. So I'm thinking I could have been an assistant principal. Some people are assistant principals for 10 years. But because of the perfect fit, and because I was able to learn the lesson, and because I learned patience, I was able to, be elevated within 2 years and became principal back at Talladega County Central, where I was a band director. So that was amazing, being able to quote unquote go back home. But it's just everything's in God's timing, and we just have to be prepared when the opportunity comes. Back in 2020, we also did a video. It went viral. And I just remember we made the video at the end of July. But in June, my wife looked at me, and we're in the room, and she said, you need to get ready because you're about to blow up. And I was like, what is she talking about? But it came from a different place, and it was like she was speaking into me, and I received it differently. So I enrolled in courses on how to start a business. I started a website. I had my own website that next week and start branding. So when we made the video, everything was already set. I didn't have to worry about the booking. I didn't have to worry about a website. I had all of my stuff set up. So it was so much easier for CNN and NBC and Today's Show, NBC, all these people to contact me because my website was set up. And I was prepared. So I was very glad to have that warning and have that heard speaking to me. And then I took heed to it.
We got to listen to our wives, don't we?
We have to. Sometimes. No, I'm just like, we have to.
That experience, I think that's the first time that I saw who you were, and I remember vividly. I was just scrolling through Facebook, and it was one of the big news outlets. I don't remember which one. I think it was Daily Show. It was one of the big ones, and it said Talladega, and I was like, "What? Who is that?"
Yeah.
And I watched it. I think my wife may have known Dr. Anita at that point, but I'm not sure. But I remember watching that video. Like, this is awesome, and it was. It perfectly expresses, I think, your personality, your musicality, your education. I mean, all of it was enveloped into one video, which was really cool to see.
And it was amazing to create, but that wasn't my first video.
Really?
I'd been making videos, just having fun with kids throughout. I'd been viral before. Just having at a pep rally dancing with kids.
Okay.
So it wasn't as if I was trying to do anything to go big. We just really wanted to have fun with my kids. And we made several videos. Like it's just kind of what we did. And this video, I remember saying, hey, I want to do a song. And I was going through different options. And I said, what about Can't Touch This? And my friends laughed. Went upstairs, wrote the lyrics. It was less than 30 minutes. And recorded it on my computer. And I called Jalen Mitchell, which is probably one of the brightest filmmaking stars that we have in this area. And he came through and we recorded maybe an hour. And he put the masterpiece together. And I remember watching it for the first time, laughing and crying because it was perfect. It captured everything that I thought about in my mind that I didn't even have to tell him. We went over a storyboard and he put it together. It was amazing. And gosh, it was a wild ride. Like, we posted it, and then that next Monday I was on Fox and Friends.
That quick.
That quick.
Wow. Yeah. So, but you knew it was coming. I mean, you had an intuition. God had spoken to your wife, and
He spoke to her that
Did you think it would be that video?
I didn't know what it would be.
Okay.
I had joined a group called Our Voice Alliance, and it was an organization that was set up to help amplify voices of minorities in education. And that's when I really got into a circle in Chicago and cried like a baby in front of these strangers that are now my brothers and sisters. But I had an encounter who I really was, and I needed to tap into the creativity that I had unapologetically. And I think a lot of times we have these ideas, we have these things that we want to do, but we're so concerned about other people, and we can't do that. We have to fulfill the calling that's on our life, and we can't worry about how other people perceive it. Like, I had to get that out because that's what needed to be done. And I mean, it was a video for kids, but also it was a time that we had a lot of civil unrest. And it was where we all can get together, share a laugh. Didn't matter what color you wore, or what color you are, what you wear, like where you go. None of that mattered. It was just a fun video that everyone can laugh about. Mm-hmm. And so I say all that to say, we just got to do it. We don't know how much time we have left on this earth, and we don't know what tomorrow holds. We know who holds tomorrow, but we don't know what tomorrow holds for us. So create while you can, smile while you can, embrace while you can, and just help make someone else's life better.
That's awesome. We were talking about it earlier, how creativity and the competition that's coming against creativity, God-given creativity that is AI, and how, yes, it does have its useful place, but it's also can be very inhibitive to hearing the Lord speak and letting his creativity flow through us. You have anything to say about that? And even including in the education?
Well, actually, I spoke in San Diego last year with Google on AI and its effect on education. AI is a tool, just like any of the apps that we use, like Google Docs is a tool. So the thing is you have to use it as a tool and not necessarily to replace who you are. So if you're using it to help craft some idea or help craft a draft or a guideline, that's fine. But we have to make sure that we're using it as a tool and then realize that, hey, this is a computer-generated response. The best response we have can be human, and we just have to use it as a tool and know that it is a tool and that it's not the end-all, be-all. And I think a lot of people are getting caught up now with that. Even it's on social media. If you know that some person couldn't spell cat with 2 pencils, but then they have this prolific long paragraph that sounds like they just stepped out of Webster's dictionary, you know that's ChatGPT. Yeah. Like, come on. But just making sure that we have integrity with it, use it. I use it from time to time if I'm getting something out, especially if sometimes you have to, respond to an email. Mm-hmm. Like, you want to make sure you clean it up and that you're politically correct. So it's a tool. It's not the only tool. It's just a simple tool that we can use. But we've got to make sure that we stay clear to who we are and make sure it represents when we put it out there who we are as a person.
So you're now the superintendent at Talladega City Schools. How much have you been able to use your story of growing up fatherless, finding your father, the hope that comes with that? I know the pain as well. How much have you been able to use that with students in the Talladega system?
More than I thought I would be. I'm a very hands-on type person. I rarely stay in my office unless there's just some things that have to be done. I'm with the kids on the court down there, talking to them, walking through halls, advocating for what we need to get next. So I have conversations with them. I share my story. My son went through a traumatic brain injury that we were dealing with, and we were just praying about it and going through, and I was having to speak at I think it was a ceremony for the Beta Club, and they asked me to give some words, and I had a whole speech prepared, but I sat there and I saw students not smiling, and then my mind went back to, I don't know when the next time I'm going to see my son smile. And so my speech went out the window, and I talked about the importance of smiling, and parents, you need to make sure that when they smile, you embrace their smile, because you don't know when it's going to be the last time, and you don't know what could happen. And I shared my story, and it was met with support. Teachers reached out to me, hey, we're praying for you. Parents came up to me and didn't know this was going on. I can do something, let me know, we're praying. The kids was like, hey, what's going on with your son? Like, because they see him. So I'm able to be very transparent. I'm not perfect by any means. And I want them to know that I grew up young. I went to college. I had my first child at 20 years old. Like, there were a lot of things that could have discredited me and put me out. I've lived in the projects. But all that doesn't matter. If you have a destiny, if you have a future, and you have a plan, and you follow God, you can achieve anything. So my message to my students is, it doesn't matter where you are now. It doesn't determine where you're going. And I hope that they see that through every interaction. I spoke to a group today, even at our completers breakfast. I love my kids. I love Talladega. I've turned down several big offers to stay where I'm at, because I believe there's in the promise of the students. And my church, I go to Church of the Highlands, and Pastor Chris talks about his story about having divine, supernatural love for a city. And my wife and I thought we were being called to go to Florida to help some friends start a church. Like, that was in our mind. We were going to Florida. I was going to put the house up. We were going to go down there. I said, I need to get a job. And I did some work with Google. Google had a job in Florida. I thought, this is mine. Applied. And then they sent me a message, said, hey, listen, Florida's filled, but will you move to New York? No, I can't go to New York.
It's not Florida.
But every time I prayed about supernatural love for a city, God showed me Talladega. And this is when I was at Childersburg. So I'm a principal at a whole nother school praying about kids that I don't even know. I drove through there every single day for the last 4 years, going back and forth to work. And I met with the former mayor, and I was like, I'm being called to the city. I'm being called, and I want to see what we can do to help the kids. We brainstormed, and then a few months later, superintendent position came open, and I applied. So I was praying for it and being called to it, and I definitely believe that I'm where God wants me to be in this season of my life.
That's incredible. Was that the same time when you were at Childersburg, when you started seeing Talladega stuff everywhere?
Well, no, that was right from the beginning.
From the beginning.
When back in 2006, when I just started seeing it everywhere. But even at Childersburg, I was happy serving as a principal. I mean, we were doing amazing things. Everything was great, but I knew that there was more, and I was coming up on my age about where I wanted to be. And I said, you know what, there's more. I love being a principal, but I want to go to the next step. But I thought my next step was central office level support, like a coordinator. And I was applying for those type jobs. And then it just seemed like every time I applied for a job, I'd have an hour-long interview. They loved me, but then they said, listen, we love you, but you're not a coordinator. You're a superintendent. I was like, what? Yeah, you're not going to be here. If you come here and work, 1 year you're gone because you're a superintendent. And one school called me. One school system said, listen, we've got to fill this position, but you can be a principal at any school. You tell us what school you want, and we'll move the person. Like, it was that much. We want you here. And I said, I can't do that. I know that I'm supposed to be in the central office. And then God opened the door for Talladega to come up. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm a principal. But I went through the superintendent's academy. I had my doctorate, and I applied and was the first one to interview. And I think the interview, like, I didn't even get to open my notes because it was a very good, I had a presentation prepared of what we wanted to do. I had a 30, 60, 90-day plan. And when we reviewed it, the 30, 60, 90-day plan, everything we said we would do, we did. We've had some challenges in Talladega. We've reorganized the schools. We had to do things that were going to benefit our students. And it was tough. Having to close the school. We've had to close 2 schools now, but when the enrollment's steady declining, your funding declines. So making those decisions about what's in the best interest of our students, our scholars, our beautiful scholars that we serve, but being financially responsible. So we've been able to reorganize that, and now we're seeing growth. The kids are starting to grow. And I just got back from Canada learning a new process that's going to help with their thinking, and anyone that may have any kind of processing disorder. We've learned some techniques and some tools and some therapy that we can provide. And this is things that people are paying over $100 an hour for. And we're going to be able to give it to our students. So I'm really excited about the door that was open for us in Talladega.
That's amazing. I have a million questions about school systems.
Okay.
Since I'm in Anniston, but I don't think we'll go there today. Maybe another time. Because it's very complicated. The more I found out about it, the more I had no idea it was so complicated.
It's very complicated, and a lot of times you'll see decisions that are being made, and you may not agree with them, but there's always something in the back of why that decision has been made. And that's just where we have to trust the leaders that are in place. No one gets up every morning and says, let's see how we can hurt children. That's not what they say. Yeah. But you have to make decisions based upon the best information that you have at that time. I've made some mistakes. I've thought some things, and you just have to be man and woman enough to say, hey, listen, that was a mistake. I need to correct X, Y, and Z and move forward. And we've had to do that. And I'm the first to, hey, I'll apologize. I'm sorry, that's not what I thought. And then we move forward. But if there's something I'm really strongly about and I think it's going to help children, then that's what we're going to stay committed to.
That's awesome. Where did the discipline come at in your life? Where did that come from for being able to set goals? You said you had goals of certain ages. You did 30-day, 90-day plans. Where did that discipline come from?
I will say that growing up was really tough. I moved out of the house with my mom when I was about 16 and moved with my grandmother and my aunt. And that was a game changer for me. Like I said, growing up was tough. I had my views of how things were supposed to go, and it always wasn't right. But when I moved with my grandmother and my aunt was very stern about don't get in debt. Don't take out any student loans. I didn't listen to her on that part, but but she was real strict, and she set parameters. Like, I had a curfew during the week, and she told me I never got a key to her house. Still to this day, I do not have a key to my grandmother and my aunt's house.
Even when you were living there?
No key, because she told me during the week, this is your time. If you need to be in, you either call or knock on the window. On the weekend, this is your time. If you are out past that time and you don't meet it, do not knock. We're not coming because you know there's curfew. I never missed curfew because, number one, I did not want to disrespect the two women who gave me an opportunity to have a second chance at life. And it would have been disrespectful had I not met the expectation that my grandmother and my aunt set for me. So I think that's really what I wanted to please them. And I wanted to show them, thank you for giving me an opportunity to have a second chance at life. So this is what I'm going to do. And always growing up, I dreamed about, when you're small, I want to marry a doctor. I want to do this. And then God all those things start happening. I was like, God heard me even when I was young. Like praying like 12 and 13 years old, God, I want to find out who my dad is. I thought it was impossible. At 40 years old, I find him. So we just have to realize that there's power in our tongue, power in what we say and what we believe and what we put out there. And I believe God honors that.
Absolutely. The Can't Touch This video, that wasn't your only TV experience. Wheel of Fortune?
Yes, Wheel of Fortune.
That's so much fun. Oh my gosh.
Listen, I'm telling you, my son, we're sitting there watching Wheel of Fortune one night, and he said, Dad, you should be on the show. And I listened to him. I literally picked up the iPad, went in the room. You had to record a video. Didn't think nothing of it. They're probably getting millions of these. That was in May. In June, I'm at a dinner. No. June, I was at a conference. And they said, hey, we would like to interview you for Wheel of Fortune. I thought it was spam. It's not going on. So I did an interview with a guy. And he said, oh, yeah, I'm going to pass you through to the next round. Okay, so the next round was we actually played Wheel of Fortune on Zoom with other people. And there was one guy on there. He was just killing it. He was getting all of them right. I was like, oh, my gosh, I'm not going to make it. But, I smiled. I got through. I got a couple of them in there. And I just wanted them to see my personality. That was in June. In July, I'm at dinner at a conference. And I get this email that says, we would like for you to be in Los Angeles in 2 weeks for recording. And it happened to be the first day of school.
Oh, no.
So I was like, oh, no, I can't do this first day of school. And I told my board, and they said, oh, no, you're going. You need to go. Got everything set up for school, and we left and went out there and recorded the show. And the hardest part was not being able to talk about what happened on October the 1st. Well, October 2nd, I think it was. 1st or 2nd. But not being able to talk about that until the show aired in September.
Wow.
So the only people that knew what happened was my wife and I. We couldn't share. We had to sign all these agreements. And even though I didn't win first place, I was out there. We were just in the show. There's adrenaline pumping. If you watch the episode, there's a letter that was called R, and then I called it again, and it's like, oh, sorry, that one's been called. I didn't even realize there's a board that had it up there. I was just in the zone.
Yeah.
But I remember walking off, and I said, well, it doesn't look like I'm going to win. I said, God, I just want to win a trip. If I win a trip, I'm fine. And we went back on stage, and I won a trip to France. And my face was absolutely, all that was genuine. And we went to France last year. But we had prayed about, like, let's take a trip. We'll go to Paris. We didn't know how I was going to afford it. Then Wheel of Fortune comes along, and I won a trip to France. And then on top of the trip, they gave me $1,000 spending money while we were there. So just absolutely mind-blowing on how I said it, and then God made a way for it to happen. And Wheel of Fortune was cool. I've got a Wheel of Fortune family. We all text. They put me in this alumni group online on Facebook for all of Wheel of Fortune alumni. But I stay in contact with them. We were on the show. And then a couple of months ago, they put our picture from Paris on the show in a new segment they were doing. So I stay in contact with them. I always tell them I'd love the opportunity to come back, try my hand again at the wheel. So maybe you'll see me back on there. Who knows?
Yeah, they'll probably listen to this and get you.
Oh, please.
So you're, if it's okay, I'd like to hear a little bit about your son's injury experience and how you, in a time of, I'm sure, chaotic and challenging your faith. And
it changed our prayer life. It changed our family dynamics. And my son he's the second, and he's my promise that God gave me. And he was just being himself, silly, laughing around after a soccer game, was walking backwards, and he hit a pole at one of the local parks. And he cried. It was hurting his head. We did what parents do, took him to get the scan. No bleeding. He's fine. Let him stay home a couple of days, follow the concussion protocol. Well, about 2 months later, he lost his ability to speak clearly. He started stuttering. We didn't know what was going on. I was actually out of town for a conference, and my wife said, hey, I'm concerned. And I knew there was something different in her voice, and I came home that next day, and he was struggling, couldn't read, and that's just not him. He's gifted. He's a public speaker. Like, he had just won first place at a tech showcase for speaking, and he couldn't. And I had all I could take, and I remember going to in our house, you can go down to the basement. I went and sat on the steps, and I just sobbed, like wept and cried. And my kids, like, when they hear daddy cry, it changes them. And so my daughter was like, no, something's wrong with daddy. Like, she is going off. She's crying. My wife's trying to get them. And then my son came down, and he gave me a hug, and he said, Daddy, I'm going to be okay. And they broke me. Like, I was so broken. Like, he's got the faith, and I don't. And he just hugged me. And then when he hugged me, I could feel his tears rolling down on my eye. And it was like, oh, gosh, I've got to get myself together because he needs me. So we went through a journey, went through all the things we're supposed to do. We go to not the natural doctor, went to the medical doctor. Oh, nothing's wrong. This is just anxiety. But we're like, that's not what's going on. Like, we went through the scans and like EEG, MRI, like all the scans, and nothing was wrong. And we went to a natural doctor, and she said, well, we're detecting that he has a traumatic brain injury. And so we said, oh my gosh, so what does this mean? Well, of course, the pathway through natural is never really covered by insurance. So we were like, okay, God's going to make a way. We'll do whatever we need to do to see my son smile again and to see him. And so we went to a therapy center down in Birmingham. We did the test. They said, we think we can help him. And that called for him to have to go there 12 days, twice a day in Birmingham. So I'm very thankful for a church family that prays and believes with us, because they really helped up with getting Anaya from school. We would go home. They would have meals there for us. Like, my wife's friends, everyone just chimed in. We had everyone praying for us. And therapy began to working, and we started, start seeing a turnaround. And we're still doing some therapy, and we're still believing God for a healing, but it's so much better than what it was. He would even have moments of freezing where he would just stop and just look blank, start off 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Then it got up to like 3 or 4 minutes. So we're scared, but we're keeping the faith. And I mean, it's hard going through that, and you're thinking, God, you said you would never leave me, you would never forsake me, but I need some help here. And then we have to be reminded it always could be worse. And I see children that are going through cancer, and like, we're not there. Children that are not able to speak and walk, we're not there. Like, God, we thank you, because we believe that there's going to be a turnaround. But it changed who we were as a family. I used to run all the time, and I still do a good bit of running as far as going to different places. I stopped. I would come home, help out around the house. I needed to be there during that season. So we knew that we weren't in it just because. And I thought we were able to get my son this treatment because God has blessed us financially. But what about the children I serve that may be going through the same thing? And so I told my wife, like, if I can open up a clinic that can do what has helped Cass, I'll come out of education. Like, I thought that's where I was being called to. And we spoke with the doctor and we asked about what could we do. And he mentioned this new therapy. And I was like, whoa, what is that? So he starts telling us. I look it up online. And as an educator, I can go to the training. So I told my school system, like I shared with everybody my story and they were praying with me. Well, I just came back from Toronto, Canada. I took a team of 3 teachers to learn this process, and we're going to come back and we're going to provide it for the students that we serve.
Wow.
And so when I did one of the exercises with my son, he said, Daddy, that's what we do in therapy. And we're paying almost $200 for 20 minutes of him to go through sessions. And we're going to bring this back and we're going to do it in a way that's going to really honor God, but also help these children achieve. And I'm so excited. And so even if Cass's journey didn't do anything else, it allowed us to find something that we can use. And I just used it yesterday with the young man that was having a moment of anger. I pulled out the thing. We started technique. His whole countenance and attitude changed, and so did mine.
Wow.
It brought everything back together. So I'm really excited. It's next level. We're going to try it. And I believe that the children that I serve deserve just as much as the people over the mountain. And that's what we're going to believe in. And that's what we're going to hold to.
That's really awesome. It's awesome the school board was behind you to do that too.
Listen, I have an amazing school board. They are very supportive. They brought me on. They knew it was going to be a challenge. They knew that we walked through some tough times together. We communicate. They tell me their desires. I try to make sure that they're met, but they support me. I support them. They really love the children of Talladega. They will stop at nothing to make sure that they have an opportunity. And I'm thankful for them trusting me with leadership.
That's awesome. How do you, with you and your wife doing such amazing things, it also requires you to be busy. How do you make sure you find the, I say balance, there's really no balance to it. I think I figured that out. It's just, you have to make time. How do you navigate that?
I would say it's not a balance, it's a rhythm. And you have to make sure that you are in sync. And I mean, for many years, my wife supported me. She was the backbone. Even during the, we joked around, like, hey, hon, I'm gonna retire. When I retire, you just run my bookings, because one of these days I'm gonna retire and I'm gonna travel and speak. I actually had a motivational speaker tell me, you should stop because you can make 6-7 figures a year public speaking all around. You have a story, people need to hear it. But that's not the season I'm in right now. It's not the season. But my wife was always in the behind the scenes, and I remember telling her, like, no, I'm living my dreams. You need to live yours too. So then she started with the business, and she's opening up her own, like, an office space now. And she's been working with it. And, this area is not really big on health and wellness, but it's growing. And she stayed true to it. So she's been able to help so many people in the area with just her holistic approach to health. So we have to schedule date night. Our calendars always stay full, especially during the week with the kids with cheer and music lessons, then Bible study. Like, we get the rhythm, we put it on the calendar, but we believe in the Sabbath, take an opportunity to rest. But we're also servers, so we know that we have to serve. That's part of what we are and who we are, and we want our children to know you got to serve too. So her grand opening is Saturday, but my son has to serve at Sunshine Saturday. So we're going to go there and then take him down so he can serve, so they can see the importance and know that to whom much is given, much is required. And how dare we receive these gifts and not give them back.
That's awesome. It's awesome to instill that in the children and have visible examples. You guys are doing great during that. This is a small part of your bio, your who you are and what you've done. One thing that caught my eye that I thought was really cool that I'd hate to not talk about is the children's book that you have working on. Is that something you just do for fun? Is that something that's come out of your?
It's fun. I actually met with 2 people that wanted to invest in me writing a book for character education in schools. And at the time, like, they were like, we're going to sponsor it. We need you just to write it. We want to get it out. And it wasn't the time. I was like, no, it's just not the time. And I mean, I was excited about it. It's just not the time. Well, what happened was after that, I found my father and I was like, okay, now's the time. Now everything can kind of go together. But I wanted to honor my mom's life and legacy in a way that people could hear about her for years and years to come. And and I love education and I love literacy. And so I wrote the first book was Miss Edna's Sweet Tomato Pie, because my mom would make a tomato pie that tastes like an apple pie.
Wow.
And it had raisins in it. She won like honorable mention in state dish of the year like many, many years ago. The picture of the pie used to be up in the rest stops in Alabama, like T loves sweet tomato pie. So I wrote a story, but I wanted the characters to be her. I didn't want it to look like a big cartoon. Like I wanted it to look like her. So my mom had a white patch of hair that's in the book. And then on the last page, it's a picture of my brothers. Like I was able to give the illustrator my brothers, and she depicted us. So you can look at it and say, oh, that's him, that's Guy, that's Matt, that's Paul, that's St. John, that's Nick, and know exactly where you are. And the story, get it if you haven't got it, but the story talks about, and I don't mind sharing it. She was approached, it's like a faraway land, and she was approached by the king about making him a pie. And everyone knew her pies were really good. So she went all over looking for the best ingredients to make this pie because she knew it was going to be the most important pie she would make. But during the time that she's getting the ingredients, she becomes very tired. Well, she makes the pie. The king comes and tastes it, says it's amazing. I want you to come to my kingdom and make pies for me. So she didn't want to leave her family, but she knew she must go. So she left and went with the king to make pies in his kingdom. And then everyone else that left was sad, but they knew that it was in the best interest. And so I wrote that book so that parents could talk to their children about when you love someone and they transition. So the whole time that she's gathering the ingredients for the pie, like her appearance starts changing, and that's when she was going through her chemo. Because my mom was given 2 death sentences. She was diagnosed with colon cancer. First time they told us that she would have, I think it was 6 months to live. And then like a year or 2 later, they told us that she would have 3 months to live. And from the time she was diagnosed to the time she passed away, it was 9 years. So we can't just take what doctors say and think that's going to be the thing. If you got a will and a fight in you, you can overcome it. So there's been so many people that read that book. And when I read it, I would go to children's, like to the classrooms and read it to kids. And the little girl said, "This is sad. Did she go to heaven?" And that is the unmentioned thing. So you can open up and have those conversations. So I'm very thankful for that book. And then for Christmas this year, I wrote 3 books. I wrote a book for each one of my children. And the purpose is I'm going to get it illustrated. And then the funding that will come in after selling the book, like that can be for them to have awesome. To have some wealth that will continue to come in. And I had a professor at Stanford University, Dr. Jody Newton, loved her. She passed away. I've written a book in her honor that I need to get illustrated and put out there. So writing children's books gives me an opportunity to kind of step away from the hustle and bustle and just create, tell a story, and just share a little bit who I am.
What would you say to your 16, 17, 18-year-old student that is getting ready to graduate here in a few weeks?
A few weeks, yes.
And they have no idea what they want to do, what they feel like they're supposed to do, but they're looking for that.
It's okay not to have answers, but you need to constantly be on the chase to find some. I think that we are far removed from the age of everyone has to go to college. I went to college, but that's not the best answer for everyone. In our district, we have a E3. Our students, when they graduate, should either be enlisted, enrolled, or employed, and trying to find a pathway. But the number one thing is just tell them it's going to be okay. Whatever you decide to do, as long as you put everything you have in you, it's going to be successful. But if you decide to do nothing, you will be successful at doing nothing. So make sure that you have a plan, work your plan. If you have a plan, you can accomplish it. Just work your plan. Everyone's not called to be a doctor and lawyer. Everyone's not called to be a physicist or an engineer. And everyone's not called to be an entrepreneur. So find what avenue that you could do for the rest of your life. Wake up and do it every single day. I'm very thankful that I receive a paycheck. But I could do what I do every day just because it's fun. Even on the tough days, it gets on my nerves sometimes, but it's fun, and I know I'm operating in purpose. And when you operate in purpose, it doesn't matter about the funding, because I'm not working to get paid down here. I'm working to get paid up there, but because of the opportunities and just being able to share. And my kids know I have a big heart. They know I have a big heart, and I tell them I love them often. Was meeting with a young man yesterday, and literally, every time I referred to him, I said, "Come here, son. Son, do this. Son, do that." Well, his father's not in his life. And I knew what it felt like not hearing that. So I want to do that every time. And his mom had told me years ago, like, he don't like anybody calling that. But for me, he lets Dr. Lee call him son. And I treat him as such. And you have to have those intentional relationships with as many people as possible. But sometimes people need a little bit of extra love. And I'm still connected to probably about 65% of my students.
Wow.
They know they can call me. I'm going to write in a recommendation letter. I go to weddings. Unfortunately, I have to go to funerals when that happens. But it's nothing to open up my inbox and it's a former kid. And we talk. Just got a message while I was in Canada. Hey, I need to come see you. I'm wanting to do, X, Y, and Z. And I responded back, I've been waiting on you. And we're going to sit down and we're going to try to replan, because just because you messed up doesn't mean you have to stay in that messed up state.
That's awesome.
I appreciate it.
On the other hand, what would you say to, let's say, a 40-year-old person that is just now realizing that there's more to life and is looking for, that needs something to fulfill that calling, and they feel like they're stuck where they are?
Definitely pray, but you got to go after it. Like, if you do nothing, then nothing will happen. So make steps toward your goal, because every single day if we get up and we're not making steps toward our goal, whether that be our eternal home or whether that be the next $1 million idea that we think we have, then we're not being good stewards of the time that we have. So go after whatever you want to do wholeheartedly with your whole heart. And you never know. You just need one opportunity for a yes. But if you never put it out there, like, I don't believe in failure. Failure means that you're trying. And one time, like, after that big video, the Can't Touch This video, we made another video. I liked the second video better than that one. It was to Ghostbusters. We called it Germbusters. Mm-hmm. We had graphics. I had more kids in it. It was amazing. It did not go. It didn't go. And people was like, oh, we didn't like this one as much. I thought it was amazing. And but that doesn't mean, like, it's not worthy, because people watched it, they enjoyed it. So go after it. Do life, like, live. Just a few weeks ago, one of my friends, she was 45 years old, 44, 45, passed away, brain cancer. She was an engineer, worked with Boeing, I believe it was. Beautiful young woman, and her friends, we are still mourning. She was the life of everyone's party. Like, she traveled, she lived her life, she loved God, and brain cancer came in from December to April 1. That's how quick it was. Wow. So we can't assume that we just have time. And we got to make the most of what we have with what we have while we have it.
That's awesome. What's next for you? Where do you see stuff going for you?
I don't know. I've never been one to quote unquote look. Mm-hmm. Like, every position I've had has been either I've been approached or I just know God directly aligns it. I tell people Talladega is a place that I could retire. Yeah. I really could. Like, I love the area. It has its own unique challenges. There's several things that people said we couldn't do. Right now, I'm actively trying to see how we can build a new school. We need a new school. Our kids deserve to be in a first-class building. And I feel as if my responsibility to figure out how that's going to look. Now, do I have the funding for it right now? Absolutely not. But I definitely know that when we put our minds together, if providing for our children is the number one goal, then we're going to be able to work together. So that's what I'm working on. Improving the quality of education, helping up our scores. But also, I want our children to be able to walk in a building that has windows. I want them to be able to walk into a building and be proud of it, and we don't have to do all this maintenance on it. I want them to be proud, and that's going to help with so much pride in our town and bringing everyone together. So that's definitely one thing that's next. I've got to get my book out. I want to travel. I want to speak. I want to help encourage. I want to do a podcast. Like, this is great because it's giving me ideas of things that I can do more opportunities for just speaking and engaging, hosting a conference. Just so much I want to do, and just really help develop the next level of leaders. Like, in my position as superintendent, I'm not a principal, but I have amazing principals under me. So making sure that they're able to live out their dreams and just be able to provide for my family, watch my children grow, hopefully lose a little bit of weight. But it's just so many things. Like, I want to please God, and I want to honor him with my life. And whatever he calls me to, I just want to make sure that I'm being obedient and walking in his purpose.
That's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. Where can people keep up with you at?
Social media, Dr. Quentin J. Lee on all platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Twitter, whatever it is today. But just reach out. I have a website, drquentinjlee.com. My wife also has a website, leewellness.net. That's new. So she is branching out to a holistic wealth holistic health service. So we're very accessible. If you reach out and we have the capacity, we're going to come.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed
It's
this.
been inspiring. You've inspired me, whether you've known it or not, just watching you from outside when you guys come in the coffee shop. I got to spend some time with your kids the other day.
Oh, gosh.
I took them to the park while Miss Anita was speaking at the coffee shop, and they had a blast with my kids. It was so much fun to watch them play.
Absolutely. They're a joy. I love them. That has been growing up without a father. And I know we're done, but growing up without a father and then having children, it was a very dark time when my first child was born because it wasn't the way that I thought it should be. And I remember just being really broken. Her first Christmas, I had zero money, like no money. Everybody else was getting her gifts. I didn't have anything. And I was depressed. I was trying to smile. I couldn't really get through the smiles. And I remember that next year I got 2 jobs just because I was like, I would never feel like this way again. So for next Christmas, I got her like one of those little cars you can get in and drive. She could barely walk, but my thing was,
You did it right.
I'm going to make sure that she never goes through that again. So I celebrate Christmas because every Christmas I'm reminded of what I didn't have and how far I've been brought and how far God has brought me to where I am now. But I did not want my children to grow up like I did without a father. And so I take fatherhood very serious and we support our children. We allow them to do, what's your interest? You want to learn violin? Great. We're going to make sure. And my wife's parents, Herman and Edgar Coachman, I absolutely love them. While I was on the journey of finding my father, when I first met them, it was instantly I was their son. And it was amazing. Like, there's several things I wanted to do with my own natural father that I did with Anita's. Like, he was the first person to take me to shoot a gun. He's the first person to take me fishing. I still go on a yearly fishing trip with Dad. First person I've ever called Dad. Like, I still call him Dad. There was no father-in-law or Mr. No, Dad. And then my brothers even respect him in that capacity. When my mom was going through, he would go visit her. Like, you don't find people that do that. Anything that goes on with my family, my wife's mom and dad, they're going to be there. And they have really, they have become who we are. And I absolutely love them from that. Even with having a child, they embraced my daughter and I from day one. Growing up I received full custody of my daughter when she was 7. So I had to learn how to do hair at 7, when she was 7. Like, that's very tough to be able to curl and iron, the little bun. It was a lot. But I had so many people that gathered around me to make sure I was successful. And I was a single parent for about 3 years before I got married. And I needed that time to really bond with my daughter, but to show me that literally we can do anything if we put our mind to. So everything that I dreamed about not having grown up, it came full circle. And I guess I would encourage anyone that's listening or watching, like, the dreams that you have, they're going to stay dreams if you never actually put them out there to happen. So speak about them, talk about them, write about them, share your ideas with everyone else, because sometimes you just share an idea and that person that you're sharing it with has the missing piece. I remember there's some things I just spoke out there and I was just like playing, and then someone else heard it. And then next thing you know, it's the next best, greatest thing that we can do to help move people forward. So make sure that you check who you're connected with. You shouldn't be the smartest person in your circle, but you shouldn't always be the only person promoting people in your circle. Like, you need to be in circles with people that are going to allow you to dream and then hold you accountable if you're not dreaming high enough and actually making those steps toward those dreams. So we're meant to do life with each other. And opportunities sitting down like this is powerful. Like, just listening and talking and reflecting, I'm like, there's so much more I need to be doing. So much more I need to be doing, and I've got the capacity to do so. So you're going to see a little bit more.
But you've also done so much. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And I'm very thankful. But as long as we're breathing, that means there's more.
There's more.
And like, this journey that I'm on, I've seen things I thought I would never be able to see. And I know there's even more things for me to see. But gosh, I want to rally around a bunch of people and we get together. There's what's that movie called? Not War Room, but the last movie where the men were able to start mentoring I forgot the name of the movie, but like, I would love to see what that would look like in a school setting. And just to have those opportunities to expand and do things. So yeah, we just got to do more. If anything, if you don't get anything else out of this conversation, we got to do more. We have to do more.
That's awesome. Your oldest daughter, she just graduated, right? I saw.
Yes, she graduated from Gaston State. She is down and working at Children's in Birmingham. I'm so proud of her.
That is awesome.
Her pathway was not the traditional pathway. but she had to find herself, and we were there to help support. And it got tough sometimes because, as parents, we'll have an idea of what things should be, but if you train them up and you give them the skills, it doesn't matter when they come out. Just know that they're in there and they're going to come out when they need to come out. So we worked on her with budgeting, and we were just so mad. You're spending all this money at Chick-fil-A. But now she is on her own, and she's budgeting, and she hasn't had to call us for any money. Like, all of the stuff that we thought that we had did a bad job with, she's doing it. And it's amazing to be able to look at her as an adult. Even more so for me that she's a successful adult, when at her age she's thriving and I was barely surviving. So as parents, like, we want our children to do better than us, and I'm very thankful and very proud.
That's great. That's inspiring. Having kids growing up, that makes me excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you get to ride in their cars, and then we tell them all the time, like, the joy of going to my daughter's house is I'm going to take my shoes off and throw them everywhere, because that's what she did when she lived with us.
Run by the store and pick me up something while you're out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have that yet. That would be nice.
Hey, it's coming, especially when they learn how to drive.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I enjoyed this.
It's been, inspiring. That's all I have to say.
Oh, I appreciate it.
I know you're doing a lot for the community, and you're much appreciated. I know that.
Yes, sir. Well, I thank you so much.